Today I'm going to read a book that might be a little bit hard for some people to watch, so I just wanted to give a little warning. But I think it's important, and I think that it is part of a history of queer people writing children's books. So, with that... Hi friends! Hi friends! Alright, today we're going to read the Sissy Duckling! We have a little duckling. You can hold on to it. We'll put him right there. So cute.
Oh my goodness, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I get to have a little friend.
Elmer was the happiest duckling in the whole forest. He loved to build things and paint pictures and play make-believe.
He also enjoyed helping around the house and was especially fond of decorating cookies. Yes, Elmer was one happy duckling, doing all the things he loved to do.
Unfortunately, there wasn't a single other boy duckling who liked to do any of the stuff that Elmer did. Not one! They boxed while Elmer baked. They built forts while Elmer built sandcastles. They had football games, and Elmer put on puppet shows.
Sometimes Elmer played with the girls. Most of the time, he played alone.
You'll never get along in this world if you don't learn to play with others, Papa Duck told his son. It's time you learn to play baseball.
How about I put a halftime show on instead, offered Elmer. Papa Duck shook his head. What's the point, Elmer? I can't catch and I can't throw.
You don't have to catch or throw. Just hit the ball, said Papa, plunking the batting helmet onto Elmer's little head. This is going to be a disaster,
thought Elmer, as the first pitch streaked right past his beak.
Batter can't hit, batter can't hit, chanted the catcher.
Elmer snapped back. Do I point out your shortcomings?
As the second pitch whizzed by his bat, the umpire called, Strike two.
Swing, hollered Papa, swing. Another pitch flew right by the catcher's gloves. Strike three, shouted the umpire.
You're out. Oh no.
Really? I'm all done, asked Elmer, tossing aside his helmet and bat.
Thanks for the swell time, fellas, he announced. See ya in postseason. And then, to the amazement of all, he skipped merrily away. Elmer was getting ready for bed when he heard his papa shouting in the living room, Sissy. They'll call him Sissy, and now I'm the laughing stock of the whole flock.
When Mama came to tuck Elmer into bed, it took all his courage to ask,
What's a sissy? Mama sat down next to him and explained, Sissy is a cruel way of saying that you don't do things the way others think that you should. I don't do things the way that others think that I should.
Me neither.
Just like they do, Mama said with a smile. You are special, Elmer, and being special sometimes scares those who are not.
I don't want to be special, Elmer said, confused. But you are.
Mama said, holding Elmer very close. And one day, you'll amaze us all. It's very sweet. Elmer arrived at school the next morning to find a big bully Drake Duckling blocking his path. No sissies allowed in my school, Drake squawked.
Elmer faced him down bill to bill. You are just angry because I do things differently. But one day I will amaze you all. Who fed you that line, Drake chuckled.
Oh my goodness, Drake is kind of like Christopher, huh?
Elmer bellowed, My mama. What a sissy, Drake howled, and the other ducklings joined in teasing Elmer until Miss Henry Pecker appeared at the door.
I heard that, announced their teacher.
And you'll all stay after class until you learn to get along.
The ducklings grumbled and mumbled and waddled into the old schoolhouse.
Because everyone blamed Elmer for having to stay late, he decided that it would be wise to let them leave school first. He took a
good look around before stepping out behind the door. Alone at last, he said to himself and started down the path. See, there's nothing to worry about. Wanna bet, came a thundering reply. Jake sprang from his hiding place, his fist raised for fight. Elmer had no time to think. He made a break toward home,
running harder than he had ever run before, with Jake chasing him at every step.
They jumped over fallen trees, splashed through puddles, crashed through branches, and leaped across the stream.
Elmer was so frightened that he couldn't catch his breath, not even when he reached his house, not when he got to his room, and not when he locked the door and hid under the bed.
Oh, poor Elmer.
Alone in the dark, there was no peace for Elmer.
He ran away instead of fighting, Papa bellowed. He was being chased, argued Mama back. In a few weeks, we will all fly south for the winter. It will be every duck for himself. Only the strong will survive.
If you don't stop thinking like a sneaker commercial,
you'd see that Elmer was just as strong as any other duckling.
Elmer is a sissy. Elmer is your son, Mama pleaded.
"He's no son of mine, Papa," declared Papa.
Poor Elmer heard his father's words, and his heart crumbled to pieces. What do you do when your own papa calls you names?
"You keep Elmer safe, okay? Tell him that he's loved." Elmer didn't want to make his mama unhappy or his papa angry anymore.
He filled his pillowcase with paints and tools and pictures of his parents.
He tied up the bundle and carried it away into the night.
The forest was dark and silent. Elmer was relieved that there was no one around to see his tears as he slipped into the great pond and swam away from home.
Elmer stepped onto the opposite shore and looked around. He found an old hollow tree hidden deep in the forest.
No one will ever find me here, he thought, just as Elmer had made his own toys.
He would now use his special talent to make a new home.
He built a comfy bed and a warm fireplace and a door to protect him from the chilling winds.
"My house has everything I could ever want," he boasted. "Everything except my mama and papa." The grass turned white with the first frost of winter. Elmer knew he would soon be the only duck left in the forest.
His heart ached to see his parents once more before they flew south.
As quietly as he could, he paddled back across the great pond and arrived just in time to see his flock readying for their journey. "We can't go without Elmer," he heard his mama cry. "We can't stay here," Papa replied. "If only I knew he was all right."
Elmer whispered to himself from his hiding place. "I'm all right, Mama." The flock took to the sky, and Elmer waved goodbye.
Just then, a shot rang out. Shattering the cold, hunters leaped from behind the trees, their guns blasting.
The ducks screeched in fright, struggling to fly as fast and high as they could.
Shot after shot tore through the air. The ducks fell like autumn leaves from the sky. Elmer breathed easy when he saw the most of the flock escaped into the clouds. But then he realized the hunters and dogs were coming.
He was about to hide in the pond when he was stopped by the sound of a quiet moan.
Terrified as he was, Elmer followed the sound. It's very brave.
He parted the tall grass, and there, to his astonishment, he found his wounded papa.
"Fly away, Elmer," Papa pleaded. "You don't see any other ducks coming back to rescue me. For once in your life, can't you just act like a normal duck?" he argued. "Forget me, save yourself. That's what every other duck would do." Is Elmer every other duck?
He's special.
Yes, he is special.
With all his strength, Elmer lifted the old duck and carried him to the safety of the pond.
It may not have been what any other duck would have done, but Elmer knew in his heart that it was the right thing to do. Papa was completely confused when he awoke. "Where am I?" he quacked. "Don't worry, you're with me," Elmer answered, bringing a bowl of hot mushroom soup for Papa to eat. The old duck looked around at the wonderful home. "You did all of this yourself?" But then he remembered what had happened. "You must leave me here and fly south. No duck has ever survived the winter in the forest. Save yourself, son, please." It's a little dramatic.
Elmer answered calmly. "You've been sleeping for a long time, Papa."
It's too late to leave now. He opened the door so that his Papa Duck could see
The deep snow that covered the forest.
"Oh, son, what have I done to you?" "Don't worry, Papa," Elmer chided. "We're going to have fun."
And he was right. All winter long, they played games, told jokes, and made things and laughed.
And talked, and they got to know one another. It was on a warm, cloudless morning that the sky exploded with a sound of the honking and flapping. Spring had come, and the ducks were returning home. They gathered in the large field to give thanks for their safe journey. As the newly elected leader of the flock, Drake Duckling asked for a moment of silence to remember all of the fellow ducks who had not made it through the winter. And let's not forget
The one shot by the hunters last fall. And Elmer, Mama called out. "Don't forget, we lost my Elmer, too."
Now how could we forget Elmer? Drake chuckled. That little sissy. The other ducks joined in the laughter until a voice boomed forth. "If Elmer is a sissy, then I wish I were a sissy too." Drake angrily demanded, "Who is that?"
To everyone's shock, Papa stepped forward. Papa? It was impossible. No duck had ever survived a winter in the forest.
Not one, not ever, never. Mama ran to embrace Papa as the other ducks wondered how.
Elmer was so engrossed in cooking a pot of dandelion stew that he never even knew his mama was there until she said, "Are you too grown up to give me a kiss?"
Elmer cried with joy and hugged her. "I always knew you were special," she whispered to him, "and now everyone else knows too. I'm so proud of you."
The entire flock cheered when Elmer stepped from his home. One by one, each duck congratulated him for his bravery and loyalty and ingenuity.
Drake Duckling sheepishly kicked the dirt with his webbed feet. He didn't know what to say except, "Way to go, Elmer." and he offered his wing for a high five. Elmer took a deep breath and then spoke his mind. I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I am the same duck I have always been. I have not changed. I am a big sissy and I'm proud of it.
Drake took a step forward. You haven't changed, but maybe I have. Again he offered his wing. This time Elmer slapped it hard as the flock rushed to surround their hero.
Let's have a little high five. Where's your wing? Oh, boom! Yay, Elmer. Over the years, Elmer learned that he was not so very different after all.
Out in the world, he met a lot of other ducks just like himself.
No, Elmer was not different, but he always did remain special.
All right, goodbye everyone. Remember to stay safe and always read books.